Hi there, I'm Ian Stewart, and welcome to another episode of Wide Net of Esoterica. Today we're going to discuss the basics of timber frame terminology. So, what exactly is timber framing, you might ask? It is the traditional form of wooden construction practiced all across the globe. It's been done for thousands of years. Most people will know it as sort of these large, oversized timbers joined together with mortises and tenons. At its very basics, that's what timber framing is. Now, there's some confusion these days because you've got post and beam construction. Now, for a traditional timber framer like myself, the difference between what I do and what someone who does post and beam does is all of my joinery is traditional. It's mortise and tenons, it's laps, it's scarps, and it is all held together with wooden pegs. Versus post and beam, which is typically large, heavy timbers held together with metal fasteners. So, if somebody says they do post and beam, generally in the trades these days they're talking about doing timber framing-like work, except using mechanical fasteners. So, basics of timber framing. If it's a vertical member in a frame, like this guy right here, it's a post. If it's a horizontal member, like this guy right here, that's a beam. And this is your brace, also sometimes called a wind brace. Now they're there specifically to keep the frame from racking. In this case, it is keeping the frame from racking in the dimension of transverse as opposed to longitudinal. So, post, beam, brace. Now, if you've got two posts with a beam connecting them, here we like to refer to that as a bent. There are other words for it. Dutch is gewint. But two posts with at least one beam connecting them is a bent. And in timber framing, the space between bents is a bay. So this building, this is my shop, is built in traditional Dutch fashion. So the bents are 4 feet apart. They're 4 foot on center. So I've got 4 foot bays, give or take. Now, down here at the end, on the end wall, you can see there, that's another post, and there's a wind brace there on the end wall. And if I were to pan the other direction, you'd see a wind brace on this end wall. So, that post there is there so that if you wanted to frame out a door, you could. That also carries the load. There are posts directly above it, which tie into the rafters, and there is actually a door on the second floor where I haul in my supplies here. So, post, beam, brace. What's the bottom? Now that's a sill. In modern construction, we refer to them as sill plates. Some people do. Timber framers, that's a sill. The plate is what's up top. So sill at the bottom, plate on top. Post, beam, brace, sill, plate. Yeah, that's your basic lower section. If you had a timber, say there was a timber running from here to this post in a wall, that's a girt. And there are all sorts of beams. You've got what's referred to as summer beams in some English frames. Dutch barns have this big anchor beam where the tenon protrudes through the past a post. Dutch houses, these are through beams. So there are all sorts of different kinds of beams, but this is basics, right? So post, beam, brace, sill, plate, girt. All right, I'll take you upstairs and we'll talk about the roof framing. All right, here we are upstairs. Now, back there, rafter. In this frame, all of the rafters sit directly on top of the posts, basically. Gives it a nice load path. So, the plate I was talking about, there it is. There's the plate. And as you can see here, there's that bent post coming up. Plate, another wind brace. This one's a longitudinal wind brace, so it's going to resist the racking force in the gable end orientation. Now, up here, we've got this timber, which runs from rafter to rafter, and this one's serving a dual purpose. This is a collar tie. So collar ties are there to keep your rafters from spreading, right? That's ostensibly what they do. This one's also carrying the load of this beam. Since this this shop is traditional, is fairly traditional Dutch construction, or as traditional as I get. You know, Dutch door. This beam protrudes past the facade, and it's what carries. Well, I use it to haul timbers and other things up and down out of this second story. So collar ties, plates, more wind braces. Yeah, that's the basics of a timber frame. If you had a timber connecting rafters, those are purlins. And later on we'll get into the various different roofing styles: common rafter, principal rafter, common purlin, principal purlin, common rafter, that sort of thing. Don't worry about that today. So there it is. Now, a lot of barns you go into, the collar ties have been cut out. It's a problem I run into all the time working on old barns. In the 1880s, 1870s, 1890s, a new hay crane was invented. And to put the hay track in, the crane track in, they just cut out the elevator. Or they just cut out the collar ties so the elevator could move through. The problem with when you cut out the collar ties is there's nothing resisting that spread, right? So the gravity is going to pull down on the center of the roof. So it's going to want to do that, and that's the collar ties here. Keep it from spreading. When you cut those collar ties out, all the load now is out on the plates. It tends to push, the end of the plates and the posts. They start to drift apart, and you'll notice, the roof will start to sag. And that's generally when bad things start to happen for old barns. So there it is: posts, beams, sills, plates, braces, rafters, collar ties, purlins, girts. There it is. Basic terminology of timber framing. I'll go into more in another episode. Don't forget to email me your questions at widenetofesoterica@gmail.com. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.